Greetings, welcome back to HM Live. Someone the other day talked about legacy churches, and we're blessed to have any number of great and strong legacy churches. I appreciate them. I appreciate their faithful and consistent support of all aspects of missions. Thank God for strong, great legacy churches. Every legacy church started in a storefront or a living room. My question is, of the current churches being started in storefronts, living rooms, and hotels, which of those will be the legacy churches of 50 years from now? Home missionary, church planner, that's exactly what can happen in the work that you are launching right now. Despise not the day of small things. What you're doing really counts and really does matter. You know that I try to attack things from as many different perspectives as I can. Last week we had Brother Bradshaw, and he talked about their strategy of planting daughter churches and expanding the kingdom of God through that effort. Today I have Brother Presson with us, who was a daughter church pastor, came out from under the church New Life in Bridgeton, Missouri, when Jerry Jones was pastor there. And now that church is autonomous, has its own identity, and pays its own bills and all that good stuff. Brother Presson, welcome to HM Live. Glad that you're here. And thank you for being a missionary.
Thank you.
And that means a lot. Talk about the journey of starting a church as a daughter church from what was a New Life is a legacy church. I started out talking about legacy churches. I really hadn't thought about New Life, but Brother Rome and all the history that was there. Just talk about how that unfolded a little bit.
Well, in my own personal ministry, I had been involved with outreach and assisting and music director in different areas, and I had felt a calling to pastor, and had approached Brother Jones about the possibility of talking to home missions about starting a work in Warrenton as a home missions church.
Right.
And he, right off the bat, I had no idea he was thinking that way, but he just asked me, would I consider doing it as a daughter work?
Right.
And without hesitation, I said, sure, I'll be glad to consider that.
Right.
And so he, with his backing, of course, he went to the church board, talked to them, had me talk to them, and we went out and looked around, and from then on, they were integral part of our church, helping us get into storefront. They paid the first year. They paid the expenses for the rent and the utilities. And, of course, we're always there to back us, and had a few people that came out, and just went on from there. And they've been a great part in our church being what it is today.
Right. Well, and that really was not a new thing. I know that Guy Rome, back many years ago, actually went into some towns where we didn't have churches and didn't even have a whisper of somebody wanting to go start a church there, and actually by faith went in and bought buildings, and now there are thriving churches there that really are a result of that whole way of thinking. So the mother church made a bit of financial investment, released you to work in Warrenton with evangelism, and provided a little core of people, made them available to come and sort of help.
Right, unofficially. I mean, they just made it available to people if they wanted to come out. We had 2 or 3 that came out, and that first year they committed to paying our expenses, but the Lord blessed, and by the end of that first year, we were at least able to pay our rent and our utilities.
Yeah, that's great.
And went on from there, and it was a mutually agreeable relationship, and they helped us each step of the way. We always were able to pay our bills, but it was a great benefit to have them with us in going from the storefront to an old church building that we bought. We had raised money as a building fund and had like $6,000. And this church was really old. It was actually used in the Civil War.
Oh my goodness.
But we were able to purchase it for the amount of money we had in the building fund, but we needed another $11,000 or so to renovate it.
Right.
And they were able to give us that. We paid it back in a year. So each step of the way, they were there to help us purchase 7.5 acres in town for possible future use, and
right.
they signed the note. We paid it. And
Right.
it was always a great blessing to have them there with us, and we wouldn't be where we're at today without their
Yeah,
help.
that is so, that's such an incredible strategy of, and I make the comparison to the fellow who I call, he's in the parachute ministry. We just fly over and drop him out of the plane, and we'll be back to check on you in 2 years if you make it.
Right.
You had a safety net there.
Right.
You had people who were connected to and interested in what was going on.
Yes.
And for those of you who maybe were parachute home missionaries, parachute church planters, as you look toward the future of raising up other preachers and sending them out, hey folks, let's don't make it as tough on the next generation as what it was on some of you. Brother Presson has just described a better way to get this done as far as evangelizing North America is concerned. How long ago did this start in Warrenton?
14 years this year.
Okay, well you're definitely a veteran then, as a pastor.
I suppose.
What do you know now about growing a church and growing people that you wish you had known 14 years ago?
Well, I think going into it, I wished I had more knowledge on the administrative side, I think. I had been involved in outreach, I was familiar with that, home Bible studies and teaching that. But I think the administrative side and the financial, although we had goals, but it would have been good to have that knowledge to put into work. And then the long-term goal strategizing, to help formulating that first 5 years of goals. I can't say that I was really used to doing that. I mean, I had yearly goals and maybe 2-year goals, but I think it would have been good if I would have connected with somebody who had that experience and could mentor in that area. And it would have helped, I think would help jumpstart the church even more.
Well, what I see church planners do is in the area you're describing, is they launch into this work and they want it to quickly look like mama.
Yeah.
And so they try to do everything mama's doing. They have a choir, and we got to have a quartet, and we got to have youth meeting, and we got to, and don't have any young people, but we got to have a youth meeting. Mama does it, and a lot of times I think if somebody could just say to them, wait a minute, this is a baby church. Your two, I say your two ministries are get them here and keep them here. That's that's what they look like at this point. You're a bivocational pastor, and I have done that for any number of years. Not only are you pastoring and working in a secular setting, although here at World Evangelism Center, it still is not pastoral ministry in that sense. So you're a bivocational pastor. But you're also helping maintain a presence in another town, Montgomery City, that was about to close down, and I guess due to the failing health of the pastor was actually about at the closing point. Help somebody out there who just feels overwhelmed with all the stuff that is just coming. Family, work, church, trying to have a Sabbath day every once in a while. How you manage it?
Well, don't be afraid to use the people in your church. Trust them with responsibility, and they'll surprise you every time. But I'm blessed to have two men who have a calling in their life for ministry. They're both licensed in UPC. One was just licensed last year. And but they are able to help me on the administrative side, focusing on the church maintenance, upkeep, things like that, discipleship and outreach, and to free me up. And they help with the work in Montgomery City too as needed, to preach and so on. And so it helps free me up with to pastoring, keep in touch with the people, studying, normal course of events. And that's really a blessing. Plus, I have a great